Chapter 8 Trust Tested. The helicopter pad occupied a raised platform in the dead center of the hospital's roof. A large cross with a capital H in the center, surrounded by a bright yellow circle. On the opposite side of the landing zone sat a small shed with a 10-foot antenna attached to it. She expected to find something more, but the height of the hospital combined with the shed and the length of the antenna provided a sufficient range for the signal. Another sliver of memory returned to her. Her eyes scanned the twilight sky, hoping to find a miracle. An empty sky mocked her in response. Survival relied on their actions alone. They needed to save themselves. Ryan tried to stand, collapsing on the roof deck with a crash. Emma raced to his aid. A dark stain spread across his pant leg. He paled. "Your leg is bleeding again." "Thanks for noticing, Captain Obvious. Must have reopened the wound running up the stairs." He grimaced as he spoke. Sweat soaked his forehead. The three-walled shelter offered minimal protection to the medical personnel unloading the air ambulance. One end had elevator doors, while the other had the stairwell they had ascended from. A metal bench, a first aid kit, and a fire extinguisher filled the back wall. Emma helped Ryan onto the bench. He plopped down hard, somehow remaining upright. After helping him up once, she wasn't sure she had the strength to help him up a second time. She set the case of vials next to him, pulling the first aid kit down from its wall mount. "You're pale. We need to stop the bleeding." "No, you need to destroy the transmitter first." Ryan pointed the antenna next to the shed at the far end of the helipad. "You destroy the transmitter and you stop the enhanced zombies. Don't worry about me." Emma hesitated. Her eyes bounced between Ryan and the transmitter. Her paramedic training screamed to her to help. Destroy the device or help Ryan? "Go! I'll be okay." His voice a command rather than a suggestion. She nodded, grabbing the fire extinguisher, racing across the helipad. She crossed the pad. A scene played through her mind. Emma running through a field, carrying a rifle with a heavy pack on her back. Small arms fire surrounding her, a sergeant yelling her name. The scene faded, leaving her confused. Had she been in the military? Something seemed both familiar and alien about the idea. She couldn't trust her own memories. The door of the small shack had a padlock hasp securing it. She had expected more security than this. Whoever wanted access would have to pass the zombie hordes roaming the halls before reaching the roof. Maybe Pierce thought that sufficient security. Emma smashed a cheap lock with the fire extinguisher. The thin door splintered around the hasp, crashing inward. She found a rectangular box mounted on the wall of the 3-foot by 7-foot shed. It occupied half the wall. A large diameter wire ran from the box through the wall, attaching to the antenna mast. Multicolored lights flashed on the face of the control panel. Emma didn't know what its official name might be, but figured that was close enough. The controls didn't bring any new memories to her mind. Seeing no reason to understand how it worked, Emma smashed the box with her trusty fire extinguisher. The second blow shattered the case. The fifth rained pieces of electronics onto the floor. Smoke poured out after her sixth hit. All the flashing lights turned black. Mission accomplished. Time to help Ryan. A deep gash on his thigh looked angry. Pus oozed from the cut, surrounded by red, swollen skin. Her stomach churned from the foul smell. "You need antibiotics." She kneeled beside him, assessing the injury. Memories of treating the wounds flashed through her mind, another piece of her paramedic past returning. Ryan's eyes narrowed. "You remember your training?" "Lucky for you, some things are coming back." Emma opened the large first aid kit, finding tubes of antiseptic, gauze, and suturing materials. "I won't lie to you, this is gonna hurt." He gritted his teeth. "Just do it." Emma laughed. "You sound like a sneaker commercial." Ryan scowled. She dumped the bottle of rubbing alcohol over his wound. His frown turned to a growl. She plunged the needle through his skin, stitching the deepest parts of the wound shut. He whistled through his clenched teeth without flinching. The cop was tough. She tied off the thread after making the last stitch. Her handiwork looked okay to her, based upon her limited memory. Emma glanced up, watching Ryan's face turn hard. "What's the matter?" "Your medical skills. You were part of Pierce's research team." Ryan's hand moved to the empty knife sheath on his belt. He lost it during their escape from the lab. His accusation confused her. I'm his victim, not his colleague. Why would you question that? You have medical skills. You know all the security codes and where everything is in this hospital. He glared at her, his eyes filled with mistrust. Pierce said you were special. What else are you hiding? I've told you what I remember. I was a paramedic who got bit but didn't turn. That's what made me valuable to Pierce. Bits and pieces of memory are coming back. Are you sure the memory loss isn't just a convenient excuse? You could be working for him now. Ryan winced, shifting positions. He scurried away from her, glaring daggers. No trust left in his eyes. The accusations felt like a punch in the gut. Emma wanted to rip his head off, set him right for questioning her motives. Why would I try to escape? Why would I destroy the transmitter? Why would I be trying to get out of here, too? It would be easier to let the zombies get you. Ryan broke eye contact first. Her fist flexed, wanting to punch something. Or him in his big dumb head. Good question that I don't have the answers to. You may have had a falling out, wanting to take credit for the research yourself. His voice lacked the indignation it had a few moments before. He must see how ridiculous he was. Emma wrapped the bandage around the sutures, her movements robotic. An uncomfortable silence stretched between them. Emma vowed not to fill it. She'd let him apologize first. Moans and groans from the zombies locked below them, along with the distant rumbles of thunder, filled the silence. A storm brewed on the horizon. She hoped they'd be gone from this death house before it arrived. I already told you what I remember. As a paramedic in Unit 16, I was the first on the scene at the Nexus Research Facility when the outbreak started. Zombies tore my partner Dave apart as he tried to save a scientist. While helping a security guard, I got bitten. After 3 days, I didn't turn, and the military brought me to Dr. Pierce. He claimed to be working on a cure. I believed him. By the time I realized his plans, the memory treatments had started. How do you know those codes? Ryan stared, studying her face, looking for deceit. She swallowed, her throat as dry as the desert. Pierce kept me drugged so I couldn't move or speak. Some kind of drug-induced paralysis. Even though I couldn't defend myself, I still watched his every move, hoping for a mistake. Every time he entered a code, I repeated it to myself, a mantra to maintain my sanity. She leaned back against the wall, sitting beside him on the bench. Emma stared out across the horizon after finishing his leg. Random thoughts swirled through her mind, and she tried to reassemble the narrative of her life, but it felt like a puzzle with missing pieces. Listen, I don't blame you for not trusting me. I don't even trust myself. The gaps in my memory are large enough to drive a loaded semi through. I wish I could put the pieces back together. Ryan busied himself, checking her handiwork, before pulling his pants up. He didn't seem eager to meet his eyes. Pierce claimed you could control the zombies. The way those things moved, I believe it. How's that possible? I can only guess based on his words. He used my immune antibodies. Somehow, he kept their basic motor functions working while overriding any remaining free will. She clutched a case of vials to her chest. These are the cure. The opposite of his twisted undead weapon. Save the world rather than destroy it. Ryan sighed, slumping against the wall. The lines on his face reflected the exhaustion Emma felt. How do you know what's in those vials? Pierce is so twisted that it could be super zombie serum. I know what's in there because... Emma paused, grappling with the memory lurking just below the surface of her mind. She started again. Before he drugged me, I created the antidote, behind Pierce's back. I used his lab equipment to extract the cure from my blood, hiding it for him. At least I thought I hid it. Ryan scratched his chin, his eyes bore into her soul, the perfect poker face revealing nothing. How? You claim to be a paramedic. There's a chasm of skill differences between a research scientist and someone patching up accident victims. His voice dripped with doubt. It sounded crazy to her ears, too, but somehow all the pieces of memory swirling through her head added up to something. With no idea how to respond, Emma shrugged her shoulders. Ryan's shoulders slumped. He sighed. Great! The thunder shook the rooftop as the lightning electrified a building a block away. She hadn't seen a storm this bad before. Large drops of rain pattered on the metal roof. Is anything you're telling me true, Emma? I'm not lying to you. I'm doing my best to remember. We can't stay here. The lightning was way too close. We need to get off this roof and find a way out of here. The hairs on Emma's arms stood on end as another lightning bolt struck 4 buildings away. Sparks flew from some destroyed electrical equipment. Her ears rang from the thunder. She grabbed the case of vials, reaching her other hand out to Ryan. Come on, we got to move. Distrust swirled in his eyes as Ryan struggled to his feet. He ignored her offered hand, testing his bandaged leg. You think it's safer in there? His lip bent in a sneer, shuffling away from her toward the door. Ryan's limp made him move like a zombie. The rain turned into a deluge, soaking them before they reached the stairwell door. When they reached the 3rd landing, Emma broke the silence. How's your leg? He paused, glaring at her. I'll live. Unless you have other plans to do me in. Why do we have to keep doing this? I'm not the enemy. I'm trying to get out of here, just like you. Ryan glared at her. Even in the dim lighting, she saw the anger in his eyes. He turned, continuing down the concrete stairwell. His uneven gait created a strange thumping echo in the empty shaft. Before continuing, Emma tried the door. Locked. At the next landing, she tried the door, finding the same. After finding the 3rd in a row locked, she knew Pierce's emergency protocol had sealed the hospital tight. The only way out might be the way they came in. How would they get past the zombies? They had descended 6 floors, but somehow the storm outside had grown louder. Rain hammered against the building, pounding like a kettle drum. Over the din, the unmistakable sound of moaning echoed up the stairwell. Not 1 or 2 zombies, but dozens of them headed their way. Do you hear them? Ryan nodded. We need to go up. What about the storm? They'll tear us apart. We can wait the storm out, but we can't fight them off. Emma didn't like the options, but couldn't think of another. She hoped destroying the transmitter would have stopped the monsters. A foolish dream turning into a nightmare. Go, now! Ryan's voice broke. He shoved Emma up the stairs, away from the incoming horde. Emma paused every 3rd step, looking over her shoulder. Ryan's injured leg slowed him down, and she feared he'd become the monster's next victim. She pushed upward, trying to outrun the pounding feet giving chase. The bare concrete steps echoed each footfall through the stairwell. A living nightmare. Keep going! Ryan's voice rose over the noise, pushing Emma forward. Her lungs burned and her legs felt limp. She had spent too much time trapped in bed, weakening her muscles. Floors passed by in a blur, but the roof access seemed even further away. Eager moans filled the air as the zombies sensed the sure victory. They knew no weakness in their resurrected bodies. On the 11th floor landing, Emma turned to watch Ryan's injured leg fail. He stumbled, crashing into the wall face first. A crack reached her as his body stilled. Emma leapt down the 3 steps separating them. She shook his arm, hoping for a response. Ryan, wake up! He groaned, rolling onto his back. His pale face, a striking contrast to his bloody nose and split lip. Blood soaked the bandage she had wrapped around his leg. Sorry. Leave me. I'll hold them off. A mob of zombies rounded the landing 2 stories below. Emma could make out their faces in the shadows. A combination of hospital staff and patients wearing the same vacant, hungry expression she had seen earlier. No way! I'm not leaving you behind. Emma summoned all her strength, pulling his arm over her shoulders, hauling him to his feet. Somehow she got him upright, climbing at a snail's pace. Ryan wheezed, leaning his bulk on her slight frame. Each labored step allowing the zombies to close the gap. When they stumbled to the last flight of stairs, the lead zombie had closed to within 1 flight. Emma's legs shook. Her lungs burned. The glowing keypad for the roof access door loomed within reach. She resisted the urge to look down, fearing what she'd find. Get to the roof and they'd be safe. Hadn't she thought that before? Emma fumbled with the keypad, trying to remember the code. 7492. The keypad flashed red. Shit! 7294. The flashing red light mocked her. Groans came from way too close. If she got it wrong again, then the lock would reset for 5 minutes. A security function that would end their lives. Think, Emma. Emma! Ryan's desperate plea brought her back to the task. She didn't need another distraction. 7249. The green light lit, as the door slid open with a groan. Emma pushed Ryan through, punching the same code in on the other side. It paused on its track, reversing direction. She let out a sigh, knowing they'd be okay. A bolt of lightning struck the building next door, raising the hairs on Emma's head. The storm had intensified during their brief absence from the roof. Emma helped Ryan to his feet while the rain soaked through her clothes. They shambled toward the sketchy shelter, hoping the metal enclosure would act as a Faraday cage, avoiding electrocution. The tiny three-walled shelter, their only protection from the storm. Behind them, the first zombie activated the safety feature of the stairwell door, forcing it to reopen. It stumbled onto the roof, followed by a second one, then another. Ryan collapsed on the metal bench, trying to catch his breath. Emma plopped down next to him. "We're trapped!" He pointed at the stairwell door as the fourth zombie broke through. The rain slowed them down, but they kept coming. A relentless foe. "What about the elevator? We can get it working." Emma pointed to the large double doors at the other end of the shelter, large enough to handle a gurney along with several medical personnel. The lifeline for those unfortunate few flown in. Ryan shook his head. A mirthless chuckle escaped his lips. "There's no power. Face it. We've run out of time and luck, Emma." The zombies closed in on their last two victims. Emma counted 8, with more filling the door. A bolt of lightning struck the third zombie in line. The force blew the group off their feet, igniting the target and his closest companions on fire. Thunder boomed, deafening her. Emma breathed out a sigh of relief. The respite way too short as the blazing zombies stood, continuing their relentless march toward their prey. Trapped between the cannibalistic monsters and the storm of the century. Not the way Emma had expected to die.